richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage. When there's a 50% divorce rate.
Okay, in this one, we're going to head over to Piers Morgan's show. The Piers Morgan Show, man, uncensored. Let's take a listen.
Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the clip that sent her viral.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. 1 out of 3 women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people. 95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So I understand the complaint.
OK, well, Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist Ava Santina, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you've be called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. You know, I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends what we're talking about. But overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men. OK, look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote? Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true. It's true. You look it up.
At the time?
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they say. But, you know, I started reading their writings, right? And what I found out was that the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family. You know, before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. True. And, you know, I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
What's that got to do with them having the vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility. Again, men are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run.
Okay.
So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S., they're fined $250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
OK, but specifically on the vote, what would having the right to vote have to do with family cohesion, for example?
Well, because, again, before you weren't trying to divide a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for the family. I mean, I don't think it's good for a family to have 2 votes.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped about.
No, do you know when it's sort of like,
I know.
It's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like, you know, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
But they just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean, at
allegedly?
The time,
what do you mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking about, you know, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were.
Write.
Yes, they were. That's incorrect. The first female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that would be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made. Yes, it was.
Self-made.
Yes, it was.
She never inherited land.
Yes, she did not inherit it.
What law permitted that?
What?
What law permitted that?
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential.
Let's get on to the vote.
It's an interesting discussion, though. Very interesting discussion. I mean, I can kind of agree partly with Justly Pearls on some things, but a little bit extreme with it. But she's kind of right.
What I don't understand is, you know, a part of your message, I've researched it today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
You know, your big push is that you care about men and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
well, I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't made the point yet.
Okay.
Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote, how is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives, they have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers, and they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license license to be misogynistic.
That's a projection you're giving here. This is an opinion. It's one thing the person has an opinion. It's another thing to say you're giving them license to do things. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the gun shop doesn't cause anybody to kill anyone, you know? People have to make their own decisions regarding the information they are given, you know? So I don't like to just blame people for the behavior of somebody else, knowing that they have the decisions to make. But anyway, projection.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of the
feminists are
well,
saying.
then okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open, they're hiring, because I don't equate.
This is the feminist. We're not talking about the average. There's a lot of women that I see on construction business. They're doing things that a lot of men do. Recently, I went to Pep Boys to get something done in my car, and the mechanic was a girl. Boy, she knew what she was doing. So this is not to say women can't do it, but predominantly men, you know, we do things differently than women. Women tends to do more business, nursing home, you know, office type of jobs because they're good at it. It's not because, and again, I had the spirit of competition. Like, society likes to make us pin us against each other. Like, we all constantly got to be fighting against each other. It's like, it really doesn't matter ultimately because we are working for the same cause if you think about it. But you know how the world works. The world has a way of turning everything into some form of victimhood and stuff like that, which is like where my problem is. It's just like what my wife does and what I do, we bring them together. That's what makes this thing works out. It's not necessarily I'm better than her, she's better than me. We put away the spirit of competition. We work together. And I think if society would look at that more, that factor, both in the home and in business, things will be just fine. But again, this is YouTube, you know, right? YouTube is not always correct on what's happening in the real world.
I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work. So no, listen. Go.
I disagree with that. You can be equal. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do the equal work. You know what I'm saying? We are equal in our own, in our humanity. We have the same value because we're created by God, image and image of God. Okay, so equality doesn't always mean equality in a sense of economy. You know, equality in value, yes. In purpose, yes. In ambition, I get that. But I don't agree with Dressly Pearls on this idea of being equal means you have to do equal jobs. Yeah, I can understand, though, for the feminists who are complaining all the time about men, that I will agree with. For as much as you complain, maybe you should get down on your knees and do those jobs that you refuse to do. The men you complain about that are building your roads and doing your business, your construction workers who are keeping they are the maintenance men who's making your business to work. Maybe you shouldn't complain so much about them because without them, you yourself cannot prosper. So, and this is what I mean. This is more like a teamwork. We ought to be together. But the world, Satan and all his ideologies and his minions, they're always looking for ways to divide the genders and the races. So that's the problem.
Oh, go apply to be on the oil rigs, go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go be on the front lines of the military, and then we should have equal rights. But until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, well, I don't think that I'm physically built.
I mean, she got a point, though. She got a point.
Like, you might be, but I'm absolutely not.
But
you said you were a volleyball.
Wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think
But
that
I don't
can
have more
do
strength.
those
I don't have
jobs.
more.
That was an unnecessary jab.
Physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely
That's
not.
a bit-
You said you were a volleyball.
Wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think
But
that
I don't
can
have more
do
strength.
those
I don't have
jobs.
more strength than
But
the
I'm not
average
going to take your
man.
right away.
I don't
to
have.
do it.
I don't have more strength than the average man. But again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be equal.
But you don't want you want divorce to be made illegal.
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's
I kind of agree with that one, too.
for better or for worse.
But there's some cases, you know what I'm saying, I can understand why divorce is needed. But it shouldn't be so easy. That access to divorce should not be made so easy. There's a lot of marriages that could have been saved with counsel, with counseling, with talking, with prayer, with a little bit of patience with each other. Things would have worked out. I think more than half of what had happened in a home, broken home and marriages, it could have been talked about. It could have been addressed differently. There could have been some level of intervention to assist. That's a possibility. Not for all cases now. Don't get me wrong. I know some people's situation is different than mine and than others. But I'm just saying, like, It's true though. There's a lot of stuff we are too quick to quit on each other, and living in a system where this is encouraged, it makes matters even worse.
For richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
They have.
When there's a 50% divorce rate, and the average marriage
Why is that all
8
down to the
years.
women, though?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
So why
But
feminists ruin it?
you asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish
Yeah.
that first? So I'm saying, you know, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
But doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin? So you wouldn't be able to get married.
What do you...
That's not true. I mean, yeah, it's always best to have that, but in the real world, that's not the case. And that doesn't necessarily mean automatically something is wrong with marriage. I mean, nobody would get married if that would be the case today. So I don't know where she get this idea, sanctity of marriage, mean you have to be a virgin. I don't know where that come from. What literature, I mean, it's not even in the Bible. Although the Bible speaks about keeping yourself pure, but it doesn't go around saying if you not a virgin, you shouldn't get married. That's just like, no.
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin. And so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then
That is a straw man argument.
I think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually live by.
You know, and that's a fair...
Look at Piers Morgan's eyes.
You know,
I just think that you're upholding standards that you
Oh my goodness, that was perfect.
you don't actually live by.
You know, and that's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, you know, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think...
Hang on.
Ad hominem. So what's your argument? I mean, I don't like when you go after a person's character, life, behavior, and stuff like that. I mean, if you're trying to share the gospel with them, you just want them to realize their need and condition. I get it. But this is not what's going on here. This is like a personal attack. You know, that tells me you don't have an argument, you're losing. Because every time you have to do that, you look bad. I mean, Justly Pearl is making you look horrible. Why do you feel the need to go after her virginity? Like, what does that have to do with the nature of the discussion we're talking about here? So that's just a weak point.
Hang on, okay, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely. And
so she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but
Yes,
you
right.
You
can't.
might not like them.
But I'm here to challenge
Isn't she
them.
exercising her right as a... Are you a feminist?
No, I am not.
Really?
No, I
She's
wouldn't
not
go
a
that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineering
I would actually
firm
love to see
hiring.
Ava Santina on an oil rig.
No, seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it.
And she can't... The thing is, I don't think it's a strong argument at all that Justly Pearl is bringing to the table. It's not that stroke of an argument, because I think any woman with a little bit of common sense can kind of peel that one off. But even that argument, she can't even push against it, and that's actually not good. The fact that she can't realize that, we can be equal doesn't necessarily mean we have to do the same job. Our equality so much has to do with our individuality, and also coming together, we create a serious, a serious partnership within the context of marriage. That's beautiful because that's how God ordained it to be. But that simple argument she's using here, that go do a man's job if you want to be equal, right? She's not even able to debunk and address that, and that's actually sad because that's just one simple little thing. I don't think it's that difficult to address. And again, we can talk so much more about that, but yeah, and that's bad. And the fact you're going after her virginity is like, so make your argument. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop with a personal attack. Make your argument.
Do it, feminists. Go do it. And me, I'm
doing
saying
the same job that I'm doing right now.
When you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness.
She's preaching now. She's preaching now. Somebody said, where's my button at? She's preaching. She's preaching. It is true though. Women are too quick to give up on their marriage because things are not working. That's why you need to know who you're marrying, the reasons why you're married. And sometimes you do get married, things happen, people change, and circumstances, situation happens and things like that. I get that, but once you get in there, man, you gotta get in there with all your heart and knowing that I'm gonna stick by him, I'm gonna stick by her, no matter what. And sometimes you have to do some weeping and some crying and some praying and some forgiving. Sometimes you just have to laugh your way through the issues and circumstances of life. You can't take everything seriously. Sometimes you just step up and be responsible. If you feel a certain way, express yourself without being disrespectful. There's a lot of things we can do. You know what I'm saying? So to save our marriages, always keep an open door, make time for each other. Always keep an open door for counseling, marriage counseling, finding different ways you can build a home. Things will work out perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? Have some children, have some babies. That's going to strengthen the love bond, Yeah, get in church, man. Worship God together. Pray for one another. Pray together. Pray for each other. It's an amazing thing that could happen with that. I think a lot of time in marriages, what's lacking is Jesus. Christ is no longer in a home for many Westerners today. So I think that is part of the reason why we are in this horrific condition. But much more could be said.
The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it,
She's right.
instead of doing what's best for the kids.
Ava, I've got to say, it's a little bit listening to Andrew Tate where some of it I really don't agree with. I don't agree with the vote stuff. When I hear things like that, I think there'll be a lot of people, especially older generation women perhaps, who think, you know what, she's got a point.
Well, I mean, I believe in agency, so I think that if a woman is going to look after her children during divorce, that's absolutely fine. I also believe in your right to speak your mind about it. What I don't understand...
I'd like to say, even before the 1920s,
Do you know what I mean?
women could speak openly. This idea that, women couldn't talk the last 500 years. There have been women throughout
but the American state education system has failed before, and it's failing now.
I mean, if you take things far back into the Bible time, you will find that women had so much power. There were, if you travel back in Israel, you'll find out, even in certain areas where, the children of Israel stationed in the land of Canaan, many in these people, the Canaanites themselves, they had women in position of power. Queen Shiva, that was a woman. There's so many others. Anyway, there were queens and kings, and this was not, I don't know why people think this idea that women were always marginalized thing, it's it's not really the case. I'm saying? Yeah, they didn't have the same right and stuff that as they now have, but I think today is too much of that. I don't want to say right so much. Right is just an individual thing and every person is entitled to it because you're just born with rights by nature. But the thing is, it's just, there's a lot of what we've created in our modern age that is destroying the value of women and is destroying the home and the marriage. A lot of that, we're pushing this thing way too far. And I think the patriarchy that many people wants to fight against is coming in the form of transgenderism and all that. And they're coming back now in a different form and they are dominating women's space. And it's wait a minute, feminists, you were fighting against men for these issues. And now men put on women clothes and they're still going after women in a different way. And it goes to show that women are losing in different areas of society, no matter how hard they fight. And I think if women will find contentment in just being who they are as God created them, and find value in the home and being business-minded and doing things. By the way, the Bible is very much for business. Go read Proverbs 31. That's a woman running her own business. So you can do all that, but it's just, I think, the essential component within the family where women fits. The feminist movement has stripped women from that position and pushed them into the workforce and say, this is all that there is. Working is good, making money is good, but taking them away from the marriage, taking them away from their husband, pushing them into the workforce, telling them to be promiscuous, just going out there and laying with all these different men. This is how you destroy the value of women, society, and everything else falls apart. And a lot of these women are being encouraged to have abortion every time they have a child, especially when the child is born out of wedlock. There's a lot that happening behind the scene when it comes to that. But again, much more could be said. All I'm trying to say is, Jessie Pearl is correct on so many things, though. She is more right than she is wrong.
There have been women throughout history that have read, written, and been very influential in society.
Okay.
So this idea like women could never do it.
Do you know
Don't
what I don't understand though is when it gets spiteful, okay? Because you put down a few arguments that I think are perfectly, like, you know, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have abortions, you say that they have STDs. You know,
I mean, the question is, are they fat? Yes or no? The average American woman is 170 pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest. We now celebrate morbid obesity as some kind of body positive thing, and it is complete nonsense. So actually, on that point again, there's a bit of truth in that.
And this is the problem.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body positive?
Well,
it's nonsense.
We're not talking about morbid obese. I was actually watching your podcast earlier.
Well, you brought it up, though.
You spoke to someone who was, I would say, probably a size 12, and you called her fat, obese, and a divorcee.
She was fat, obese, and a divorcee. I mean, like, I don't know what to say. This is the thing, women, we don't want to live in reality.
That's subjective a little bit.
We don't want to say things that are true. Was she fat? Yes. Was she a divorcee? Yes. These things are just objective facts.
Okay, I'm going to have to objectively...
And she insulted me first. They always do.
I'm going to have to objectively end the debate.
That was great, though. I mean, Justly Pearls, I like her because she speaks her mind. She's not 100% correct, of course. I mean, calling her an Andrew Tate version kind of thing, I don't know. She's not so much of an Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is much more, I would say, extreme in some things, but he's also very much correct. He's balanced about many things. But, I mean, she has her opinion, though. Different, but very few young women, 26 years old, they don't talk like that anymore. Like, very rare discussion. I just find that one to be very interesting that she's able to talk about that in a very cohesive manner. And she makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't say I agree with everything, but 80% of what she was saying was true. You know what I'm saying? So the other 20%, I think, just wasn't properly worded so much, not the idea in itself that was wrong. But yeah, her arguments weren't that strong. They were just, it's more logical. It's common sense, you know, kind of thing. But it's common sense no longer common today. So yeah, much more could be said. And again, we can argue this relationship business over and over again. I don't think it's always necessary because it doesn't get us anywhere. But going back to God's ideal for the home in Genesis chapter 2, the way God did it, is the way I want to do it, man. So look at this, man. Adam gave name to all the cattle and the fowls of the air and every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found an helpmeet for him. There you go. Why did God do that? Why did God intentionally, why did God in the beginning did not create a woman for Adam? Why do you think? I'm not going to tell you the answer. I'm intentionally not going to read the rest of the story. You're not allowed to watch my Bible. I want to read from the comment below to see how many of you watch the video till the end, because the only ones who answer are the ones who watch the video to the end. Why did God wait until Adam saw the two animals in pairs before he gave Adam a wife? Why did God wait until Adam realized he needed a woman in his life before God provided? I want to hear your answers below. I can think of a number of things, and I think if we could figure out what the value of a woman is, and a woman could figure out the value of a man, all these arguments will come to an end. It really does, because once you know why you have a wife, once you understand why you have a husband, once you see your need for him, your need for her, the argument stops, because there is a greater purpose to live for. Anyway, we come back with another video. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Thank you for listening. Link in the description below without my commentary. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.